Welcome to the Driven by Us podcast, driving change in STEM and media within automotive and motorsport. This season, we'll be speaking to key figures and inspiring role models within the industry. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Driven by Us podcast. Here, we drive change in STEM and media within the motorsport industry, meeting inspiring individuals who propel the sport forward. I am super excited to welcome our next guest, a talented copywriter, social media manager, and F1 content creator. You might actually recognize her voice from the podcast Quick Stop F1. Please welcome Thandie Sibanda. Welcome.
Yay! Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited for this conversation today.
Same. I'm really excited. I'm a really big fan of the podcast already.
Yeah.
What you guys do. I follow you guys on Instagram.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. For those of you who don't follow us, make sure to check us out, Driven by Us. Well, let's kick things off by telling me and the listeners a little bit about yourself and how you got into motorsports.
Yeah, sure. As you mentioned, my background is journalism. So I'm a journalist by trade, sometimes a social media manager. And so the motorsport thing kind of just fitted into reporting, etc. So starting from all the way to the back from when I began, I'm one of many boys in my family. And my family was very motorsport based. So rally, MotoGP, everything from that to then on. Anything with a wheel, we were into, basically. My dad used to take the boys to like rallies and races, and I'd always just go along. So I pretty much grew up in a family where it wasn't football as our main sport. It was everything to do with a car. If someone buys a new car, we're going to criticize the engine. That's just how it is. Yeah. Like, you are going to get ripped.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. So when it came to then Formula One and obviously Quick Stop F1, I'd already kind of had the experience in watching so many races that I'd love to chat about Formula One every Sunday because that's what I do with myself every day. So yeah, that's basically where we started.
That's so interesting to hear that you got into sort of different disciplines across motorsports and then found your way into Formula One. What inspired you to pursue content creation and how did that come about?
Yeah, so I think with the whole journalism thing, because my earliest memory, not my earliest memory, but like being in secondary school, I can remember always being asked like, what do you want to be? Yeah. And I never really knew what I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to talk a lot because I talk anyway. I knew I wanted to be front-facing camera, something in production, something in media. But I never, like, if you had told me I'd have a Formula One podcast, that was just not something I would believe. But I definitely believe I'd be in the journalism route. I guess from the get-go, I've always been into music journalism, culture, and you'd find that sport and music just have a way of just going along together in the craziest way. So that route kind of just found me there. And then, you know, during quarantine, everyone just wanted a voice to be heard. Everyone was either like shouting at each other on live Instagrams or something. And I just found a way in grabbing a mic with my co-host Nyasha and creating something from it.
Yeah, and you both do such an incredible job on your podcast.
Thank you very much.
And breaking into the industry can be challenging.
Oh, can it?
Challenging. So many different obstacles. Oh. Can you share some of the obstacles that you faced as you were starting your career?
It's definitely the, it's an aspect of sometimes, you know, you'll put your name forward for something and, you know, you've got a foreign name. So, yeah. So you already know you've already been rejected. So people, when I say that loud to people who have normal names, they just, oh no. But if you have a strange name, you already know that gut feeling in you when you press send and you're like, I do have a foreign name, they're already going to judge me. So there's that. So getting on a lot of lists, press list isn't always, you know. I think if anyone's listened to the Quick Stop F1 podcast or watched us across socials, you will know that we're very outspoken, very loud. And some media, some sports, some companies aren't really ready to kind of branch out and let people be outspoken because it's so brand new, it's such a new notion. So many people are kind of scared to work with someone who goes against the grain. Yeah. And I feel like that is where I sit with Quick Stop F1. And so when brands show us love, I'm inspired by them because it's like you guys have actually taken the step to find someone that doesn't go against what everyone's talking about. Someone who actually speaks something different, doesn't go against a script. So I think that's something I've found. And then the everyday stuff, being a black woman, being a black woman with a Scouse accent. Nobody wants to work with yet. No, everyone's a bit confused. Nobody knows where to fit you in.
Oh.
But you know, like I will never let that stop me. Like otherwise, Quick Stop F1 would have been over within the first 3 months.
And, you know, you're carving your own space, you're creating your own lane to allow, you know, future podcasts to be able to do the same, right?
Yeah.
Be able
Yeah.
to speak openly about different things, controversial topics within Formula One.
Yeah.
Content creation is a difficult job, right? It's
Yeah.
not as easy as being able to, you know, switch on the camera, switch on your mic and talk, right? There's a lot that does go into it. What does a typical day look like for you as a content creator
Right.
and journalist?
So let me be very honest in terms of content creation for Quick Stop F1, right? Because I know they will come for me, right? So we have a beautiful team for Quick
Oh, I
Stop.
love
We have
that.
me and Yasha, and then we have Tasha and our lovely producer Chris, who are in America. And I would say those are the people working the hardest at Quick Stop F1.
Give them their flowers.
No, I will. I'll say it. Like through introducing those two, like everything has kind of changed of how our image is online, our graphics, like so those are really people who are editing. Shout out and Yasha for making the short clips that everyone just loves across socials. And obviously, it does take a lot of work to be this funny. I'm gonna be so honest with you, like it is a lot. Like I have to wake up.
Do you know what I mean?
Get in the mood to be funny to you guys. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause
And
sometimes
deliver
I
your
want
best
to.
lines.
Yeah, sometimes I'll have watched the race and I just want to cuss everyone out, and you can't do that.
Mm.
You've got to be objective,
Absolutely.
you know. But yeah, just you know, a lot of effort going from my room to put on makeup to then get the light on and open my laptop and record quick stuff. But yeah, on a serious note, as a social media manager, I've worked across so many cool brands. Netflix, Starbucks. At the moment, I'm doing the NFL.
That's incredible.
And so it's always like, yes, they're all sport, but they all have different characteristics. They all have different audiences. And it's about understanding your audience, engaging what's kind of making them tick.
Yeah.
NFL is an American sport. I'm British. So I've had to then kind of study like the players, the culture. Are they the kind of fans that want to know about what's going on pop culturally? Like, do they have wags? Like, what aspect can you come from?
Yeah.
So I think always having to research whatever like brand you're working with or whatever content you're creating and making it individual to yourself is something really special. I used to find as a journalist, you know, like I had a lot of training as a journalist, and one of my mentors basically told me what's so special about being a good writer is somebody reading a piece of your work within a sentence or two, just knowing that it's your work without having to look at your byline.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have grown to become that sort of writer. Like, you know, a Thandie piece by the times you go in. And so I think I'm still trying to establish my stamp across content creation where you know that is Thandie Sibanda or Quick Stop F1.
That's amazing. I
Thank
just
you.
want to touch upon something that you mentioned there about remaining objective,
Uh-huh.
right? And I think that is so important. You have your own personal opinions, but sometimes it is just your job to deliver the facts as they are and remain as objective as possible. How do you approach that? How do you kind of separate your personal feelings from kind of what it is, the story that you need to tell?
Yeah, I think you have to remain objective in all kind of things, especially with an unpredictable sport like Formula One, and with such a controversial sport like Formula One. Like, those are like housewives times 2.
Yes.
Like, people don't want to talk about it. They're messy.
Yeah, they are.
And so, put your opinion in. You've got a community who are riding on you to say something. Sometimes you have people who are like, I can't wait to hear what you guys think. But I think communities build sometimes cults, and cults build nastiness. And it's sometimes your job as a content creator to not fuel something that might not be correct.
Yeah.
There's laws against stuff like this. Like, sometimes I see people tweet stuff out, and like, obviously in my journalistic brain, I'm thinking I know the laws. Like, that could be retweeted and then it's seen as slander. So you have to remain objective for the sake of your own journalistic like integrity.
Yeah.
for something. Like, do you know what I mean? Yes, you can have your opinion. You can say, in my opinion, if it was me, but always specify.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I mean by being objective. Like, it does not bother me to go against the grain, but it bothers me to get sued. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've kind of spoken about finding your voice within journalism and being able to put your stamp on different forms of media. How have you gone about that journey to, one, have the confidence to kind of publish a piece and say, like, I'm going to make sure that this speaks my voice,
Yeah.
or this piece articulates my voice to a T. How did you go about finding that confidence to do that?
I think practice makes perfect, and the more people reach out to you, the more your confidence is boosted.
Yeah.
So you might have written a piece and you think it's not that great, or you might have created this piece and it's not that great, but reposts, comments, community basically is what keeps you going as a content creator, because you could just like wake up one day and think a video is rubbish and then it gets the most amount of views. So I think community, being confident in yourself, and just knowing when you upload something, like, you put your all into that.
Yeah.
If you put your all into it, even if you are like at 3 a.m. and you're still like, oh my gosh, like, this just looks the same, like, still keep to it and be confident in your thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Consistency.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, reflecting on your journey so far, what's been the most memorable moment for you within your career?
Within my career, okay, so I think I really enjoyed the aspect of me being a drinks and alcohol journalist.
Yeah.
That was the best time ever. I was so young, and like, I was working on like so many whiskey brands. So I was always with the Jameson lot, the AB and Bev lot, Diageo. Shout out anyone who knows about drink brands. And it would be me with all these like older people just having like a ball, like wine tasting in a different country. I loved being a drinker. Honestly, the drinks industry are so nice. I can remember being in Ireland, and we'd been taken on like this trip where we were eating like food and fancy restaurant, and we're like, I'm just sat there just eating my dinner at this fancy restaurant with everyone else, and then Mary Berry pulls up.
Oh.
Mary pulls up. She pops next to me and she's like, hi. And I'm like, hi, right? And then she's like, so how old are you? I'm like, 21. And she was like, what do you know about whiskey? I'm like, Mary, I don't know anything. Half the whiskey we're drinking right now is older than me.
Wow.
And me and Mary just got drunk. And it was the best. And then she made me order this creme brulee. It was so nice. And I think that is one of my favorite career highlights.
Yeah.
I think in terms of Formula One, 100% are like live shows in general.
Incredible.
Our live shows are insane for anyone who's ever been. They're chaotic. We are a bit of like a mini cult. I'm not even gonna lie. It's not weird about the Quick Stop F1 crew.
No, we love it.
Like, I love them so much. Like, every time we always have a ball. Definitely when we took it to America, that was sick.
Wow.
Like, being at a racetrack, we hadn't even done the shows yet. People like stopping us.
Wow.
Me spotting people wearing like our t-shirts. You know,
That's
like
incredible.
that was really like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then having to do the show and like everyone being so lovely and being like, oh my gosh. Sometimes when you guys don't upload, I'm like, are they okay? And that's like amazing to me. That's community.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really enjoy that aspect. So I think those are my career highs. 100%. Yeah.
I love that. Were there any particular challenges, challenging moments that kind of stand out to you or stood out to you? And how did you navigate them?
Yeah. This is about to get a bit dark. I do receive a lot of death threats.
Wow.
I get a lot of nasty messages. I don't know why everyone thinks I've had my lips done. I have not had my lips done. Just to be completely, like, every time you guys want to come for me, you always come for my lips, and it's no, I'm not having that. But yeah, I always get like weird messages from an opinion, and it's always really interesting because it'll be like paragraphs and paragraphs. It's like manic stuff.
Wow.
And that's always quite low. Like, if I was a person who was really unconfident or really insecure, that could really hurt me.
Yeah.
But I'm so secure in who I am and what I am doing, and the challenges that come with being who I am and what I'm doing, that, you know, I can scrape them off me.
Absolutely.
Per se. But those, I can imagine if I'm getting them, I can't imagine women who are like in higher positions with the same colour tone skin as me or darker. what they're experiencing, because it's all good for me to cry about a few Twitter comments and Instagram comments, but what are people receiving via their emails and stuff? So yeah,
that's so hard to hear, because I think you do voice your opinion out on the internet, and unfortunately you do expose yourself to the risk of other people then giving
it back,
but
yeah,
within a boundary. I think that's completely unacceptable, and it's quite hard to hear that people still to this day have their Twitter fingers.
People are insane. Like, the internet's a wild place because you expose yourself to so many different people. You meet the most loveliest, and then you'll meet the most like erratic, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, let's kind of discuss the evolution of social media, right? How has the role of a content creator changed over the years?
Like massively.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we even look back on aspects of music, you know, like just artists always having a camcorder close to what they're doing and documenting like their journey, that's now content creation.
Yeah.
And for examples, maybe in football, you get VAR technology, like a company named Vio. They do performance cameras for match days, so the player can kind of look over their match game basically, and that has changed aspects of like, that is a very interesting fact. I mentioned that because with kids who are using like football and VAR, they are uploading it to like TikTok because people want to consume information within such little time. I don't know if that makes sense, but that is kind of where we're going. And then, you know, just anything like, for example, like Instagram, you'll know this as a social media manager, UGC is what's pushed the hardest.
Yeah.
Things taken on an iPhone. We don't want the professional cameras. We don't want, you know, we just want to see it from your iPhone. And even like as a social media manager, if you work for an agency, you will find like some clients will take forever to respond to a suggestion. And the longer you leave it and the more you think it, the less it's going to work. It should be so natural. And I think we came from the likes of Vine to now TikTok, to now YouTube Shorts, to now short stories. Yeah. And that is where it's going. Like, we don't need to consume long things anymore. We want to consume stuff that are short. We want to consume stuff that might be seen in another person's language or their way of thinking. Yeah. And we want to see why they're thinking it. And people of all kinds can find genres and nooks and crannies within places like TikTok and Instagram. Yeah. It's become a really like a hub for everyone. Everybody has somebody who has a voice for them. Yeah. And if not, you create your voice. And
it's cool to see the, you know, one piece or one story be adapted to fit all these different types of platforms, whether it's TikTok, LinkedIn. I'm seeing so many, you know, videos being posted on LinkedIn, which is amazing. Like, is this the new TikTok?
I recently found a corner of TikTok, which is a man who goes through vintage fridges. Very interesting. I'm telling you right now, guys. Literally 3 a.m. at night, I am in my bed and I am looking at a 1950s fridge with a carousel.
No.
They can take a lot of weight.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a niche for everyone.
There's a niche for everyone. I loved it.
Yeah, that is the power of social media, right? Yeah. So it really does expose you to so many different things that you wouldn't have necessarily thought of or thought had existed. So we've kind of spoken about TikTok and Instagram and LinkedIn. How do you leverage these different platforms in your work? Both as a social media manager or even just personally in content creation?
Yeah. So for the podcast, we will drop our podcast every Monday morning. People on their commute will listen to it, Spotify, Apple, etc. And then for the other people, some people will go on YouTube where you'll find the actual full clip and you'll be able to see us. And then you'll see it on YouTube Shorts. You'll see like the little bits that might have been interesting, the best bits basically. Yeah. And then we will also move that to Instagram. Instagram obviously takes a shorter form of content. We'll then upload it to that. And that just kind of grows our community. It makes people more aware of who we are. We flip it over to TikTok. We find a clip that would work for TikTok as opposed to YouTube Shorts or Instagram. I do that across most of the brands that I work with already, kind of see what fits for them. I think people on LinkedIn are a bit more formal.
Yes.
So I'd be writing the paragraphs, less emojis. And then, LinkedIn are always so kind though. Like I've never seen anybody with passive aggression on
No,
LinkedIn.
I agree.
Very professional.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've got into this
Mm.
new habit of just posting my like short reels
You
onto
should,
LinkedIn,
yeah.
and do you know what? People engage with it and
Yeah.
they love it. Like
Yeah.
the feedback that I get has been like, "Wow, this is really cool," or
should,
you
yeah.
get people. So I think sometimes we shouldn't be kind of boxing ourselves off to certain platforms to think, "Oh, this content might not work," or maybe it is just the news article or just a long
Yeah.
post. It could,
LinkedIn are dying to push people who are like fun
yeah,
and young and bring in that aspect of Twitter humor that they don't have.
yeah.
And so when you do upload, they're like, oh my God, yes, something funny. Because they've been scrolling for time. They're like, oh my God, humor.
This is all different content. It's fun.
Yeah, shout out LinkedIn.
Yeah. With all these kind of rapid changes within social media, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've personally faced within the world of motorsports?
Within the biggest challenges and changes, I would say I have recently heard that Formula One is kind of cutting out creators with the name F1 in it.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
That's just due to like their licensing and,
It's giving censorship.
well, I think they didn't expect content creators to be or to have that big of an impact within the motorsport community.
Yeah.
Everyone. If you've got F1, I don't know, Debs or F1 Lucy, and these aren't real content creators, so I'm not sure, but for them to have such a powerful voice with a huge platform, I don't think they realized that would happen. And so they want
Very interesting.
their rights back. So
They haven't come to me yet.
take F1 out of you.
Don't message me. Anyway, yeah, I think challenges like that, obviously like a disconnect between a sport and the actual people who are getting people to be more interested in your sport is interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a challenge. I think I don't want to say real Formula One fans. How do I be polite? People who've been watching Formula One post-COVID and Drive to Survive. There's a real versus going on between them. There's a real like competition-wise.
Yeah.
I don't care where you've come from, basically. But I think there's a lot of fans who've come in after COVID and they feel a sort of criticism or a kind of like they feel really squared off from people who've been watching it from like time. And the unfortunate thing is the majority of people who've been watching it from time are boomers. They're the David Coulthard lot. Like they love that. And I love that for them.
Yeah.
And then you've got like the girls who love the fan cams, who are like Charles Leclerc fans, and it's like
Lando Norris,
Lando Norris. I love Lando Norris, by the way.
Is he your favourite driver?
No, he's not.
No? Who's your favourite driver?
Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Period. So I think that's a challenge because, I know it's a challenge because people are moaning about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Shifting gears a little bit, let's talk about all things DE&I. And I know you kind of touched upon it at the beginning, but have you personally encountered any barriers or biases in your career?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a black woman. So
How?
obviously this thing where people are like, what does she know about cars?
Yeah.
Because her anatomy is different to mine.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
So there's always the presumption when you talk about stuff that no one's going to take you seriously.
Yeah.
Sometimes, on the Quick Stop F1 account, people will message Nyasha instead of me. And he's super friendly, shout out him.
Yeah.
But at times the aspect of it all is kind of very much like, I don't trust Thandie's judgment compared to yours. And it's like, he might not realise it, but it is rigged in sexism.
Yeah.
And I think it's sometimes, a lot of these sports who aren't, like Formula One is really just catching up with this idea of them being a big sport.
Yeah.
And them being so globalised. And so we have these kind of old notions where it's better to have someone with lighter skin present something than someone with darker skin. It's better to have someone with a prim and proper accent rather than somebody who's, and you have sports like the women's NBA in general, NFL, who've already caught up. They've had years of catching up.
Yeah.
And yeah, Formula One is obviously this big motorsport, but they're so behind in terms of it. So people like me suffer.
Absolutely. Do you think that motorsports in general, like across all disciplines, has done enough to represent diverse voices and perspectives?
I don't.
No, that's fair.
I don't.
Yeah.
You can just see it in teams, engineers. Like, we're really just catching up. The fact that we even have a DBU podcast tells you that we need something to be done.
Yeah. And
like, me and you wouldn't be here if it was all gravy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, we'd be in Singapore.
And I think, we have to shout out to the communities that are creating a space for people to
massively shout out.
who look like us. Like even Quick Stop Podcast, like you're creating a space where other either content creators or other people even just consuming your content look and see people who look like them, who represent their voice within the industry as a presenter, as a media person within media. So I think I completely agree. I think there's so much work, more work.
Well, more work, yes. Let's not act like things aren't being done.
Yeah.
Susie Wolf has a whole thing about this. Like, that's her thing, right? And then we have podcasts like me and you. You're very right. Yeah. But so much more needs to be done.
Absolutely. Yeah. How do you think teams and organizations can contribute to more of an inclusive and diverse environment within motorsports?
Just looking at their audience.
Yeah.
Just looking at their audience.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
looking at your audience. How are you a global sport? You have that many races on your calendar, which means you go to nearly every race. Not every race, but the main race. Like, you know what I mean, right? And you still believe that your fan base is 40 plus men of a white origin. Yeah. How is that possible? You have people like Yuki Tsunoda on your grid. You have Lewis Hamilton. Like, do you think that their fan bases are just men 40 plus from the UK?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think looking at your community and actually listening to what your community wants. We don't want more races. We don't want more expensive tickets, because that just makes it a very exclusive sport. It creates a barrier. Not everyone can afford a seat at the grandstand, but at least feeling like we are seen for what we contribute, whether it be listen to a podcast, buy merch, that would really break the disconnect between Formula One and its audience.
Yeah, absolutely. What about from like a media standpoint? Do you think there is work that can be done there to have like representation across media? Yeah,
I definitely think, like, for example, we're in Black History Month. There's a lot that could be done. We could have the Formula One channels just spotlight in a bunch of black, content creators, podcasts, presenters, journalists. Yeah. It's so easy, and yet it feels so hard that
at the same time, weird?
Like, even you asking me this question, I'm just thinking, how is that possible? How do we do that? But it's really quite simple, isn't it? Across all medias, just acknowledging that not everybody is the same, and also acknowledging differences. I think as women, I've heard so many things about like races not having the right toilets.
Wow.
Diverse toilets, like, and
like making it accessible.
Yeah, make it accessible for everyone. Interesting.
And so how do you think content creators can contribute to promoting diversity within the motorsport industry?
Oh, I love us content creators. Yeah. I love us. Amazing people. Yeah. Like, because we're all people we all have access to the internet, so we just jump online. Yeah. And through that we make communities, we make friends, we meet each other, and we're like, oh, let's do a little intertwining, Yeah. And there's obviously the sinister idea that, you know, content creators are just trying to get views. They want everybody on board. But in doing that, we've all come together.
Absolutely.
So that's a positive.
Yeah. I've met some like really cool people just through the
you've
power.
met me.
Yeah.
I've met you.
I know.
Yeah, shout out I've met so many cool Black women
Yes.
through, you know, content creation and us kind of just being like, let's support each other. Or here's another Black girl in motorsport, let me follow her. Or do you know what I mean?
Repost and engage.
Yeah,
and
repost. Yeah,
slide in the DMs. I don't know.
exactly.
Something.
Friends.
Yeah.
Like, I like that.
What advice would you give to someone who's looking to enter the motorsport world? Whether, or even just maybe we'll think about it as social media or journalism. What advice would you give to someone?
Find your topic of interest. Let it be a topic that you could literally talk about without it being scripted.
Yeah.
Let it be a topic that you'll never get sick of. Don't make content creation your job, but more your hobby.
Yeah.
So when it does get stressful, find that line between loving it and not trying to just make it a chore, basically. Don't be afraid to be niche. Niche is great. Speak on camera in your own language, in your own accent, in your own tonality, in your own way of thinking, because somebody else will pick it up and think the same. Or someone will just embrace the fact that you think differently. The world's just looking for something different every day, so you could be the change that's needed in whatever niche you pick up. And honestly, just have fun with it. Smile.
Yeah.
Don't take life too seriously. And don't be discouraged when you have like 400 views, because 400 views could go to 4,000 and beyond. Do you know what I mean? So, and make friends. Make the right friends. Vet people. There are some crazy people online. Vet them first. I've actually been in that position, you know.
Really? Where someone has...
Where, not to go into too much detail, but like, had someone on the pod, did not vet them.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because you obviously have to stay true to the people who are giving you views. And when they are uncomfortable, you have to then, you know, So I think always like, make sure you stick to your agenda, and you know, if you are going to switch agenda, just know that your audience will, you don't owe anyone anything, but you do kind of owe people something.
Yeah it's a good lesson. And one that I hope everyone kind of takes on board. Looking ahead, how do you see the role of content creation or social media evolving over the next kind of 2 to 3 years?
I see, in terms of just in general, I see us consuming things very like short clips. Yeah. I think everything's now like 5 seconds. And I just want to see everything so quick. Yeah. Our attention span's small. Yeah. I saw something with it wasn't Steve Jobs. It was Facebook guy. What's his name?
Mark
Zuckerberg. And he was saying within 2 to 3 years, we are probably going to have glasses.
Guess I saw this one. Yeah.
We're going to have glasses where we basically, that is our go-to. Like, we see a vision. Everything's going to be like VAR. Yeah. And our phones are just going to be things in our pockets until eventually we just leave them.
That's amazing.
Apparently.
Imagine going to like a race, watching a race through these glasses and being able to take someone along the ride.
Like, we're on these glasses. You're seeing live tweets coming up.
Right.
You're probably like watching Lewis Hamilton's like on board. Do you know how mad that's is? Crazy. Like, technology's only got to get smarter. Yeah. I'm not really scared of AI, but I am kind of scared of AI.
Really?
Are you scared of AI?
My background's within data analytics, so for me, I'm embracing AI. Yeah. I love the concept of using or having a tool that can empower or be like a little assistant to what I'm doing in my day to day. Yeah. So I think from my standpoint, I'm embracing AI. Yeah. But I can completely understand why people are a bit hesitant to embrace AI.
It is. It's almost like that scene in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory where Grandpa Joe loses his job because he doesn't need to use his hands anymore. The machines replace him. Yeah. Some people have kind of said to me, like, you are a woman of words, and now I can literally just ask them to write me an article on AI.
Yes.
And, yeah. I don't know how I feel about that.
But to your point, it won't have that Thandie
Yeah,
stamp.
that Thandie stamp.
And that's why it's so important for you to continue to develop that, because yes, you can put something in ChatGPT and it will spit something out. We'll know, right?
Yeah.
And so to be able just to even look over it and be like, yeah, this is, and add your own flavor and your own finesse to it.
Yeah.
I think that's where I think you and AI could blend quite well together.
You should just get on. I love AI though. I'm a chat GPT. Yeah,
I love
asking questions.
Love ChatGPT. How do you want to be remembered in the world of motorsports?
Oh, okay.
Like what legacy would you like to leave behind?
Some people on Quickstop F1, I don't know if you watch this, but a lot of people on Quickstop F1, including Yasha, refer to me as the most moisturized content creator.
I love that.
In motorsport. Because everyone's a bit ashy. And I bring moisture.
I love it.
Yeah, because black women are like moisturized. So I do like that little legacy. That's nice.
Yeah.
I do definitely want to be remembered as a woman from up north, in the most unexpected place, who was outspoken and spoke her truth and stuck to her guns every time.
Absolutely.
I really want to make Quick Stop F1 to be to be a podcast, of course, forever, but more of an instrument for people who want to get into motorsport, who want to go into broadcasting, media, etc. I just want to build it for younger people of our generation with the same coloured skin as us.
Yeah. So
I hope Quick Stop grows into that.
It will. No, I love that.
Thank you.
And we are supporting you all the way. So to wrap up, we have a question that we'd like to ask you from our previous guest, and that is, who is someone that you look up to or are inspired by?
I wouldn't say I look up to anyone, but I am always inspired by moments like this, where you have an encounter with someone like yourself and you're inspired. You see another woman shining and we both have this like lovely synergy and it's passed on. I like moments like, you know, going to a race and bumping into people wearing my T-shirt. Those are things that inspire me.
Yeah.
Or just like a really nice YouTube comment that keeps you going. I think that's what inspires me.
Yeah, the small things that
the
do
little
matter.
things, like the little bits of happiness, the moments where you're like, this time last year, I was like in this place and now I'm in this place. That is what inspires me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really a person who likes to look behind me, but just keep going.
Yeah.
Whether it's like torrentious. Oh, is that the word?
I don't know.
That's not the word.
I don't think so.
Whether it is awful.
Yeah. Difficult.
You just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
No. And before we finish, we've got our next guest coming on the podcast. What is something that you would like to ask them? And it could be anything. Anything at all. Personal, motorsport related.
If you could be on a desert island with any 3 motorsport legends, who would it be?
Incredible question.
And why?
That's an incredible question. Yeah. Thandie, it's honestly been such a pleasure to chat to you today and get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Your story, the work you're doing within social media with the podcast is incredible, and I hope it continues to make an impact across multiple generations and multiple people. So thank you so much
for having me, guys. Shout out you guys.
No, shout out to you. To all our listeners, thank you so much for joining the Driven by Us podcast. Be sure to follow us for some more exciting interviews and stories from the world of motorsports. Sign up to be a member at drivenbyus.co.uk. And until next time, keep driving towards your dream.